Real is one of the fastest growing brokerages in North America, but that doesn't mean that it's right for everybody. I moved my business over 60 days ago, and a lot of it has been great, but there's a few things that surprised me and a few that have been a little bit frustrating. So today I'm giving you the full breakdown, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. Now, I interviewed every major brokerage before I made the move. And I want to talk about why I considered leaving in the first place, because I used to be at one of these national brokerages that are the traditional model. You pay your splits, you pay your desk fees. There's nothing really outside of that to earn money other than to sell houses. My big frustrations there, I was there for 6 years, was the continual turnover of internal staff, the lack of daily support if you wanted to get anything done. And the biggest one was high monthly fees. I was paying a lot of money between my commission splits and my monthly fees, and I just really didn't feel the value was coming back in my direction. So I didn't jump ship very quickly. I took, I would say, 8 months to a year to really mull over the options and figure out what was the best fit for me. And honestly, what almost stopped me from making the move had nothing to do with the brokerage itself, but the people. I had some really good relationships, and I still do, with the management team at my former brokerage. And while, yes, I liked them as people, it wasn't what was best for my business at the end of the day. So what I expected from Real right out the gate was 3 main things: a lower cost platform, more technology, and better organic marketing reach and marketing materials and marketing ideas, basically better marketing. I did, before I met with anyone, assume there would be a heavy emphasis on recruiting. But what really shocked me here is when I finally met with somebody from Real, they said, go meet with everyone, be selfish. Now's the time to do what's best for you and your business. It wasn't, okay, sign here on the dotted line and get in right away. And I honestly appreciated that more than I can even say. So enough of my ramblings. Let's talk about the good, the bad, the ugly. So the good, technology. Now, the biggest factor here for the tech is that Real really attempts to build all their own tech, so it's owned by them, so they don't have to worry about some third-party company artificially inflating the price and it end up costing more to our bottom line. The paperwork transaction software that they have, honestly, has probably cut my paperwork time per transaction in half. Now, I do have some frustrations with this that I'll touch on in a little bit, but overall, it's a pretty slick system. Everything is visible at a glance, from your transaction paperwork to where you are in your cap cycle and income. And while it's definitely not perfect, it's still really, really good where it's at. The other thing is, because Real's a publicly traded company, you do get stock options. So I'll make another video about Real Broker Explained, but when we talk about stock options, you can take a portion of your commission as stock. And what Real will do is, because you're taking company stock, they will actually just give you a bonus of stock. Now, it's not a lot of money, but on my very first transaction, I got about $400 worth of stock, and Real just gave me an extra $40 because. Now, we can talk about artificially inflated stock prices. Real estate stock in general, at the time of this recording, is not doing super well, so it's not, life-changing anything right now, but the fact that they're taking time to invest back in their agents, I think, is wonderful. And the last good thing I want to touch on is the actual culture of the company. Now, yes, it's a cloud-based brokerage. You do have to make an effort to get involved. But that being said, the people that are making the effort to get involved are really buying in to the collaboration over competition mantra of Real Broker, the work hard and be kind slogan that a lot of people will have on t-shirts, that kind of thing. People actually live by it, and it's been really refreshing to see. Like, I honestly feel like I can call up any member of Real that is on these calls, including like the VPs and presidents of the company, and say, hey, I'm having this issue, or I've got this idea. Do you mind taking 15, 20 minutes to talk to me about it? Everyone has been so generous with their time and their effort. It's honestly been one of the most refreshing experiences I've had in real estate over the course of my career. But again, you do have to actively participate. So let's get into the bad. So where I am located in Ontario, Canada, there have been a few smaller brokerages who have, to put it bluntly, broken the law, embezzled money. So our governing body is really starting to crack down, and our brokerage has really tried to take a proactive step and really crack down on paperwork and due diligence and signing. So it's, not a bad thing at the end of the day, but it has created a few extra things to do on every single transaction. So when I signed my first listing at my new brokerage, the paperwork honestly felt like overkill, but again, it's a small frustration compared to the amount of good that's happened in the last 60 days as well. The next thing I want to talk about is the onboarding, because if I'm being brutally honest, the onboarding was not great. The technology takes a little while to learn, and I'm somebody who's been around the industry. I know I have a good idea of what paperwork needs to be done. I have a good idea of the order things need to be done in, but learning the platform and where everything goes really took me a hot minute. And if you're somebody who's not as computer friendly, or it takes you a while to learn a new software, there's definitely going to be some frustrations there. Now, there are Zoom calls that you can jump on to help facilitate this process, but I find that those Zoom calls were very, very basic, very generic. And when you're trying to set up a workflow that really works for you, they didn't really apply super well to what I was trying to do anyway. So I can't imagine a brand new agent who's never done any kind of transaction paperwork before navigating this for the first time. You're definitely going to need to reach out to the company or to your sponsoring agent, whoever, for support to really navigate through that process. And unfortunately, the onus for that comes down on you, the agent, to do that. Real also has a built-in e-signature platform, and the frustrating part about this is the potential is there. It's just not quite all the way there yet. Up here in Canada, we use a system called Web Forms that's put forth by our Canadian Real Estate Association. That still seems to be the better system to use, and then importing the documents into the Reason platform after the fact. The e-signature tool, I'm sure we'll get there, but it's just not the smoothest system yet. Now, the ugly. Buckle up. Having been here for 60 days, I can tell you with certainty that Real is not for everyone. Just because I'm honestly having the time of my life here doesn't mean that every agent's going to come here and thrive in the way that, I've been fortunate enough to do over the last 60 days. Agents who need office structure, daily supervision, are relying on brokerage leads, you're going to struggle, I think, at Real, because Real doesn't provide any of that. Now, the cost is much lower, so that comes with certain advantages, but if you're not selling anything because you don't have those things coming in from the brokerage, then Real's not for you. The second thing is the loneliness. Now, there's no water cooler, there's no office environment. So if you want to be social, get involved with the brokerage, network with colleagues, you've got to put in the effort. You've got to show up to the calls. You've got to reach out to agents. And if you're not someone who's self-motivated enough to do those, to initiate that process, those conversations, those calls, you're going to find yourself sitting in your basement working in one of the loneliest businesses that there is. Even in terms of your geographical location, I work a smaller market in central Ontario in Canada. I was, I think, the second agent in town to go to Real. There has since been a third, but even then, there's not a lot of people within the brokerage in the community to really sit down with in person and bounce ideas off of. So online for most people is going to be where you get most of your collaborative work done at Real. And number 3 is the revenue share reality. Now, if you're thinking, oh, I'll join Real, recruit like crazy, and never work again, it's probably not going to happen. And honestly, it's probably not going to happen in any of the brokerage models. But what I really liked about Real is the focus is not on recruiting. Your job as a real estate agent is to sell houses, and that's still the primary way most of the company earns a living. The way I see it, when I was at a different brokerage, if people would ask me what brokerage should I join, I would say, hey, you know what? Our brokerage is pretty great. I'm there. I seem to have a pretty good time. You should come check it out and talk about it. Really, I have the same thoughts about Real. Real is a better fit for where my business is at now. And if you want to talk about it, great. If you don't, there are other options out there, and that's totally okay. The big takeaway for me, besides the culture and everything that was the bonus, was the financial reality of moving. Again, being at a traditional brokerage. Last year, I'm going to be vulnerable a second and tell you how much I paid. I paid about $25,000 to be part of that traditional brokerage. This year, with the goal of doubling my commission, I would pay $5,000 less than I would have paid last year at a traditional brokerage. which ultimately means more money in my pocket, more money I can invest back in my business, more money I can invest in my clients to really build something much quicker and with much more value, I think. So my final verdict is, if I could rewind 60 days, would I join Real all over again? Absolutely. And I'd be kicking myself to say, why didn't I join 6 months ago? And again, I've been there. Explore all your options. If you want to have a one-on-one conversation about my experience and where you're at, I'm happy to set aside some time. You can book a call in the bottom of this video. But beyond that, if you're considering a brokerage change, do me one big favor and be selfish. My name is Ben Robitaille. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.